Hi, welcome to abmbbs. This video is based on the Biostatistics chapter from the Park textbook of Community Medicine. Now, the basic biostatistics needed in MBBS can be divided into these broad headings. I will be dealing with the first three in this video. The next four topics will be covered in a second video. The remaining extra topics will be covered in a third video. So, the first topic is data presentation. We all know that data can be subdivided into two categories, quantitative and qualitative. So, now we will discuss about the various ways to present quantitative data. First is histogram. A histogram is a graphical presentation for continuous quantitative data. The continuous groups are plotted on the x-axis and the frequencies are marked on the y-axis. Next comes frequency polygon. It is similar to a histogram except that it is made by joining midpoints of class intervals at the heights of frequencies. Next is a frequency curve. It is basically a frequency polygon that has a number of observations and reduced group intervals. Hence, the angles are smoothened and it becomes a curve. Next is a line chart. It is also known as a line graph. It shows a trend of an event over time. Next is cumulative frequency diagram. It is also called ogive. It is a graph of cumulative relative frequency distribution. Finally, there is scatter diagram or dot diagram. It is also called correlation diagram because it is used to depict correlation between two variables. I will be coming back to scatter diagram in a minute. This brings us to the end of the quantitative methods of data representation. Now we talk about the qualitative methods of data representation. First is bar diagram. It is used for visual comparison of magnitude of different frequencies. It is considered to be the most versatile of all statistical diagrams. Next comes pie or sector diagram. Here the categories are represented as a percentage of the total 100%. But remember, for pie diagrams, all pie categories must be mutually exclusive. Next, there is picture diagram or pictogram. It is a method of data representation for the common man to understand. So, it often contains pictures. Finally, there is map diagram or spot map. It is prepared to show geographical distribution of frequencies. Here, each dot marks one frequency. This completes the methods of data representation. Now, coming back to scatter diagram, we have understood that it is used to depict correlation. But how? Look at the diagram on the left. Here, the dots are arranged in such a manner that their average forms a straight line whose slope is positive. This slope is the correlation coefficient R. When the correlation coefficient R is equal to +1, then it is called positive correlation. Now, look at the diagram in the middle. Here, the dots are arranged in such a manner that their average forms a straight line whose slope is negative. So, R equal to -1 and the correlation is said to be negative. Finally, look at the diagram on the left. Here, no line can be drawn because the dots are arranged diffusely, so there is no correlation. Next, we come to the topic of variables. A variable is a character or attribute that varies from person to person and from time to time. So, variables can be divided into quantitative and qualitative. Quantitative variables are the ones that can be measured directly on a metric scale. Example, weight, height, mid-arm circumference. Qualitative variables are the ones that cannot be measured, hence they have a nominal scale. Typical examples include ABO blood group, sex, and type of anemia. If you are wondering what is a nominal scale, don't worry, I'll be discussing about the scales, types of scales in a minute. Now, quantitative variables can also be called continuous variables. Why? Because they have a large number of possible values and several in-between values. So they are measured in a metric scale. But qualitative variables only have a few possible values and no in-between values. Hence, they are also called discrete variables. Variables can also be subdivided into dichotomous and polyautomous types. Dichotomous variables have only two possible values, whereas polyautomous variables have more than two possible values. Typical example of dichotomous variable is sex. It can only be male or female. Another is RH. It can only be positive or negative. The examples of polyautomous variables are infinite. This brings us to the end of the topic of variables. Finally, we come to scales of measurement. There are basically three scales of measurement. Number 1 is nominal scale, number 2 is ordinal scale, and number 3 is metric scale. Nominal scale is based on names. It has no specific order and for quantitative variables and is for qualitative variables. Typical examples include race, religion, country, etc. Ordinal scale is based on gradation. It is also for qualitative variables. Typical examples include TNM staging, social classes, etc. Finally, metric scale is the scale we use regularly on our day-to-day lives for measurement of quantities. As I just mentioned, it is for quantitative variables. Another type of scale is also there. It is called Likert scale or summative scale. It is a type of ordinal scale. Here, responses are graded in a continuum, like strongly disagree, disagree, slightly agree, agree, and strongly agree. Also, Likert scale is usually bipolar scale, meaning it measures both positive and negative responses. This brings us to the end of this video. You can also watch the other videos in this channel. The link is available here. Guys, thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to like, share and subscribe if you like our work. You can also review our Facebook page. The link is available on the description below. Bye bye and happy learning.